This is Junto, an engineer's perspective. I'm joined by my good friends, Matt Burgess, Corbin Buckler, and I'm Dave Stewart. Today we'll be talking about automotive battery factories. So grab your favorite free, cheap, and cold beverage, sit back, and enjoy the episode.
We got to go away from combustion vehicles, and we have to, decarbonize however you do that, right? And electric vehicles are the way to go when it comes to transporting us in a efficient fashion. I don't know if hydrogen cells are good or bad, or
yeah. There's no doubt that at the tailpipe, tank to tailpipe is totally cleaner. I agree. Unless you're burning dirty coal, which China does, and so does parts of the US. When you go to like well to wheel or mine to wheel, the analysis is a little more skewed and the break even points further down the road. And then hydrogen's like a whole nother animal that I think is still a possibility. It will probably be like the next phase, maybe. Right? Because everyone's so hyper focused on this, but like, I don't think Toyota's given up on their hydrogen dreams yet.
No, man, Toyota really hasn't. Which is weird because they, were at the forefront with the Prius in terms of hybrid. But they have refused to jump on electrification, but they've really been pushing hydrogen still. But hydrogen, it really depends on where you get the hydrogen too. Because probably the easiest is just by, cracking, long carbon chains to get hydrogen. But like you have electrolysis, but then like you have all sorts of issues with storage and moving it around that you I mean, you definitely need more infrastructure for electric cars than we have now, but the infrastructure's a lot easier to put in place than hydrogen stations.
Yeah, none of them really overlap, right? Like,
yeah,
the convenience store of a gas station overlaps, but the mechanism of putting the quote unquote fuel into the vehicle, there's like zero overlap. Maybe the tanks for hydrogen could be retrofitted underground somehow, but to your point, like the shop side hydrogen production, you'd have to bring like the high voltage power to it. So like either pay me now or pay me later, right? But hydrogen's like better for the planet. So I guess if you were to start from a clean sheet of everything, you'd have like nuclear power turning hydrogen like pumps to fill tanks, right? I guess. Compressors. There we go. The other way.
But even then, like I'm still not like the one thing I've probably seen that's a little convincing is like heavy duty for hydrogen.
Yeah.
But like I don't know. Like there are some segments where electrification is a way to go, but I think, not in our lifespans, but in the past, 15 years, it's come further than I would have expected.
Yeah, you'll see another shift here within our relatively near lifetime for sure.
Yeah. I guess I'll pose a question, everyone. What was your first exposure to an electric car? Like when did you first hear about electric cars?
Corbin, go ahead.
I don't know. Were we talking about it in college? Like, were we talking about Tesla and Elon Musk in college?
Yeah, Tesla was a thing. Like the Model 3 was
Model S. It was Model S.
Model S.
It was 2013.
Right.
So I remember because in high school physics we watched Who Killed the Electric Car, and that's all focused on the EV1 with GM, but they use what was it? Nickel cadmium batteries. And there's all sorts of, issues with that. They leased the cars, this and that. They smashed all of them. But I remember going to Tesla's website in like 2008 and like looking at the range of the Roadster, because they didn't.
I was gonna say,
they didn't have the S. I don't even think they announced it.
They were still breaking open batteries, or laptop.
Yeah,
batteries
exactly.
then.
And putting that together, and it had like this range of like 300 miles and like a circumference around like San Francisco, and that like I was like, oh man, that's sweet. And then that was my initial fanboy phase of Tesla, which ran up to like maybe 2015, and I still swoon every once in a while, but Musk is just difficult to get behind.
Smoke and mirrors.
But yeah, they were just taking lithium ion batteries from laptops, which is where lithium ion batteries really first came into mass use.
Yeah.
And
weren't they like late 90s, 2000s, or was it early 90s? Lithium ion batteries.
I'm sure somehow it was like the early mid 90s, but like
it was probably expensive.
Affordable laptop, and affordable laptops is probably the millennium or somewhere right around there. Because you have to think, like in the late 90s, people still had like massive laptops.
Yeah,
they weren't really thin until like freshman year of high school, sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, and even then, like.
And those were super expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the time I even think about like, older cousins and stuff. They're in college. They need a laptop, and that's what they had or whatever.
Right. They had a brick.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You don't know what my first one would be. It is probably something stupid with like a car show or something.
Well, yeah, you've always been more. You're probably the biggest motorhead out of us three, Dave.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I don't really know. It was probably organic. But I do remember like something with like the Roadster and Jay Leno. And like he was a big fan, obviously, because he's another like car guy. And then I didn't drive one until early this year, like this spring. One of my buddies at work has a Tesla and he let me drive it.
Is that sacrilegious?
Yeah, he gets a lot of shit, but I mean, he's making a point, right? It's quick. I'll give you that.
Well, that's like every that's going to be every EV from now on.
It doesn't have pretty instant torque.
Yeah, it's like instant come on, and like if you've never driven one, it puts a smile on your face. But like once you get past that and like start walking around the car from like a fit and finish perspective, like any run-of-the-mill Explorer is as good or better, right? Or like Suburban from the 90s, like cars you just know and like don't even see going down the road. So like the premium price you're paying is not for the leather seats or the sound system or whatever other thing you pay for when you buy an Audi or a BMW or a Lincoln. You're paying for the motors and the batteries. It's just bundled in seats that are wrapped in leather. So that was my first experience. And now I'm just kind of like waiting for a Mach-E ride. Like that'll be sweet. And I see the Hummers around town all the time. They're massive. They look freaking sweet. I know their motor technology is different than ours out of the gate.
What's their platform called? I can't remember.
It's like it's another skateboard platform. I think it's in the notes. I think it's GM's Ultium platform.
That's what it was. Yeah.
It sounds like a battery, but it's not. It's a battery of the future. Ultium.
Who are the marketing guys? I want to know that. Just add like Ultra or just like anything to make it sound like fancy and make it chrome. It's the
they probably
future.
got that. that little chart that you sent earlier, Matt, about the private.
Yeah,
sector.
exactly.
They got like
how do we name a
these-
future product?
Yeah, so I think currently in the marketplace that like yourselves or I would be able to go purchase, I think GM's going to be ahead of everyone for a short period of time while everyone else gets their latest and greatest platforms out.
Do you think that's because of their battery or because of the shared platform?
Both. I think they're I guess Rivian's out now technically. So that's a fair competitor to their platform. I think it's because of their platform and their batteries. Yeah. The way their battery like lays, like they have like a vertical stacking and horizontal stacking, and
because they're using a pouch.
Yeah, that has something to do with it.
They're using a pouch rather than cylinders, so they're just like packing in pouches.
And I think that comes into how their arrays are designed as well.
Yeah. Is that
because like you go ahead.
I see in the notes it's partnered with LG. Is that out in Holland or Kalamazoo area? Isn't LG building a huge plant out there or build?
Yeah. Yep.
So how does this compare to like a Tesla's, how they do their batteries?
So from what I know, it's right here.
Their batteries are cylindrical. So they're
like a laptop or a AA battery, but they're
what you'd imagine. But their form factor, they're changing their form factor for like their latest, but
those are like the two. Are those like the two big competing platforms? It'll be Teslas and GMs at the gate. I mean, Tesla's already out there and has
Tesla's there in old. Oh, sorry, it started playing. Tesla's there and old, and I think they're using what is it, cobalt nickel, Matt?
Yeah, but they're trying to change their chemistries.
It's coming up here.
They're trying to go use more iron for like their cheaper batteries, and then they're trying to wean off cobalt just because it's such a scarce and in not the best of places. Mainly in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Mm-hmm.
Mined by who knows how many children. And then I think like Australia is the other one,
which has its own supply chain issues right now.
Yeah.
But like part of that is like, I don't want to say it's virtual signaling, but they already have like pre-committed orders to like miners in Congo for so much.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Cobalt. So like it's not going away anytime soon.
I don't want to put words in Tesla's mouth, but I don't know if they're moving away because of social issues more than like economic issues.
Okay, the Tesla battery is lithium cobalt manganese. Yeah. Whereas everyone else is either lithium ion or nickel cobalt aluminum, NCA. And then I don't know what Ultium is. But it's GM's own chemistry. But so like where you're at in the industry, to come back to Corbin's question, is you have like Tesla's chemistries are partnered with Panasonic, and Panasonic, I don't know this, but like Panasonic probably owns the chemistry rights, and like they are working together. They have a mutual partnership, and you can look up how that's gone. There's been like high points and low points in that partnership. And then like GM with their launch of like they have the Cadillac coming out. I think it's called the Lyric. And then they have the Hummer coming out. Those are in partnership with LG Chem. And again, I bet LG Chem owns the chemistries. And then like Ford is partnering with SK, and SK owns those chemistries. But like, and then there's Rivian, and Rivian is its own chemistry and company because they've been around for so long in the shadows, basically working on this problem. But what I think is going to happen is that, like, whether it's Tesla, GM, Ford, Chrysler, they're going to start making their own chemistries. And so that would be the equivalent of like GM having their own gasoline, or like Ford having their own gasoline, and like you will have performance differences because of that. And it's going to like,
I think it'd be more akin to like Apple and their system on a chip, right? So Apple designs their chip, but they still go to TMSC. TMSC, did I get that right?
yeah,
They still go to them to produce their chip for them, but they technically own it.
yeah,
So like
Foxconn, TM, yeah.
So like GM, Ford, all these players might, design their battery chemistry in-house, maybe have their own, $5 billion or whatever the hell Ford's spending in Tennessee and Kentucky, their own battery factory, but they may license it out to other people to make their chemistries.
Right. And I guess that would be the equivalent of like you can buy a GM or a Ford crate motor, and like that motor performs a specific way, and you purchase it for your project as you see fit.
So
it's kind of blending all the ideas.
When we talk chemistry, though, does the like underlying like lithium and the electrons like that stays constant, right? Or
so yeah, it's not like a huge shift to like what are they, nickel? Basically, it's not a huge fundamental shift. It's just like refinements, geometries,
it's like
shapes,
making it more efficient with like
shapes
the
of batteries.
electrolytes.
Yeah, how
the
things,
metal oxide structure,
how things are assembled, how to dissipate heat for charging rates and draw rates. I think we're into a refinement stage of the technology, but like it won't be like huge breakthroughs. It'll be more of like cost refinements, but like like I think like adding silicone to the anode or cathode to get a faster charge, just stuff like that, and kind of pushing the boundaries there. But I don't think like you're gonna have a car that charges in 2 minutes to 600 miles in the next 10 years, 20 years even.
And then that, I guess, like to kind of take like the far perspective real quick, is like what we talked about last week when the graphene technology was like announced. Who was that?
Oh,
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, I can't remember, but like somebody announces
Starts with an
something
L.
with graphene like every 2 years. Like graphene's like it's like the fusion energy of the materials world. It's just around the corner. It's going to revolutionize everything.
Buzzword.
Yeah. Just add graphene to your project.
It's called Lyten. I think it's Lyten. 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 To launch lithium silicon battery for 2025, 2026. Yeah. Oh, I completely lied because I don't know my periodic table. It's lithium sulfur battery.
Okay. It's getting sulfur mixed up with silicone.
What a mechanical engineer. So stupid. Why don't you go talk about pumps? Yeah. All right. So we've talked about a whole bunch of nothing so far, and probably have more questions than answers.
Probably. I guess, like, do we want to talk about who the big players are currently? I think you took some good notes on that, Corbin.
Oh, like the companies?
Yeah.
Sure. I was looking at it, from the market cap standpoint. but also just like where do they fall in line with the in this whole process? Because you've got the like raw material suppliers providing all these like Lithium America Core, Lithium Glencore. I believe's they're the big player in the DRC when it comes to cobalt. I need to sort this. Glencore, Lithium Vale. They make news. They're a nickel and manganese supplier. So that's just like on the raw material side. On the like the battery side, we talked about them: Panasonic, LG Chem. There's a big player in China, and I mean, China's a really big player in this when it comes. I think there's some statistic like 70% of all lithium ion batteries are made in China right now, right? So, so there's a company, CATL.
And they're supplying to Tesla in Shanghai.
Yeah.
So like Tesla, even though they start off with Panasonic, they're not exclusive. I think even LG is supplying a little to Shanghai as well.
Who is?
LG.
Yeah, LG Chem. Who's the other one? SK Innovation.
SK.
Is another one.
And that's who Ford's in bed with.
Yeah.
Didn't SK get
Korean company?
Didn't they get sued by LG Chem?
Yes.
Okay.
For like $1 billion.
Okay, I thought I
them.
remember hearing about like a massive lawsuit.
That just happened and like just cleared, and then everything else came out.
And Ford's just like, okay, we can build these plants now with you.
We're fine.
So who's
they
Chrysler?
Lost a battery trade case. Chrysler's been really quiet in town. We're in the wrong side of town to like have any Chrysler buddies. But they are promising that the Ram EV will be like the most innovative, the best, because they did wait, and they're alleging that they will have learned from everyone else's mistakes.
Yeah. We're gonna copy all the good stuff.
To their credit, they did win like 3 Motor Trend Truck of the Year awards in a row for the last 3 model years, which has never been done. However, on the flip side of that coin, I see a lot of Ram trucks driving around with fucking one headlight out or one fog light out. And you're like, how the fuck? You're a 9-month-old vehicle. What the fuck is wrong? So Chrysler's an interesting animal, but now that they're Stellantis too, right? Like that adds another spin to the whole thing, because now they have like additional engineering resources that they could tap into that they previously didn't. So I don't really know where Chrysler, Stellantis, Ram is in this whole picture, but there's definitely sketches or renderings of what like a Ram electric vehicle would look like.
Is all I feel like all the American producers are starting off with trucks and SUVs.
Yeah, you have to. That's where the money's at.
Yeah, I guess. And I guess that's not as big of a leap from an F-150 to an electrified F-150, because people already pay through the nose for F-150s already.
Right.
I just want like a cheap vehicle that's like I'm also not going to die in, just to go back and forth to work. How long are these batteries, expected to last? And what's the
we could look at what the warranties are like.
I mean, I think what I saw briefly was Tesla can do what, like, or 1,500 cycles. I don't know. I need to pull the notes up again, but 3,000 lithium-ion batteries can do 3,000 cycles today, plus or minus.
So that's from 100% to 0. Is that what we consider a cycle?
Yeah, but they don't charge to
Yeah,
100%. They
yeah,
only
yeah.
charge to 80 to 10, which is a whole nother fucking thing that we all need to standardize on.
Yeah.
Stop playing the game. Just tell me what it's actually going to be good for.
But I mean, I think it should be well within a typical American's car usage.
Yes.
Yeah, 6 to
So
10
on
years.
the Ford, on the Ford website, for the Mach-E, electrical vehicle components coverage is 8 years or 100,000 miles, whatever comes first, with retention of 70% or more of the original high voltage capacity over that period. It's pretty good. And then standard bumper to bumpers, 3 years, 36, powertrain, 5 and 60. So
Yeah, that's pretty good. They're probably
pretty common.
either
Yeah.
they're confident or they're trying to quill everyone's fears.
Right. And that's what Hyundai did.
Yeah. Yeah, because they had like ridiculous like 8-year warranties or something for a while. I don't know.
Yeah, it was 10. It was
10.
10 and 100,000 miles when they first came out, and no one wanted to buy them. That's how they like gained market share. They're just like, we'll cover everything.
Please
Buy a car. We'll figure it out later.
we promise.
Is there? I was reading somewhere where they're trying to. I don't know if it's Tesla or the industry in total is trying to get like crazy amount of cycles, like 10,000 cycles. It can be like that Hyundai situation where it almost outlives the person who wants to.
I'm sure there's someone in some lab right now, doing it on a benchtop, but like, there's probably a lot of good research going on right now, but how much actually makes it to mass production is the question.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Because there you run into, I don't know what the hell I was reading, but they're like, if the battery outlives the car, like, the car rusts or whatever,
yeah,
it goes to shit, you wreck it or whatever, and the battery's still good, then you got to like repurpose that battery. Recycling is its own thing with lithium ions, but
right.
I mean, you can, take that battery and put it into like,
solar, some solar system to
stationary energy storage, or put it into like a forklift or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be to that point for a minute.
Yeah.
Like the movie Armageddon. It's like, this is NASA. There's supposed to be a room of people thinking about things. In another room, there's another group of people. That doesn't fucking exist. There's no rooms of people. We're just figuring this shit out as we go.
Yeah. I think people outside of like manufacturing and or like engineering are like surprised how like people will assume innovation happens at just like a certain rate, but like sometimes it's just like, oh hey, this really worked, and then all of a sudden it's like everywhere, but like it's not like something mind blowing or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, jumps and starts, and it's not like a 3% every year.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a linear thing.
Yeah. You think we should get into the recycling?
How much?
No, because I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, how confident are you in that?
Well, I mean, I got like a little couple bullet points here.
Yeah, go for
it. We can have someone destroy us in the comments, and we will welcome that.
Don't worry, we don't have enough listeners to have someone destroy us. But hey, if somebody out there wants to destroy us, we'd love to hear you.
Or a future listener who goes back and listens to all of our podcasts, he can come back and destroy us like 3 or 4 years from now.
We'll take it.
Yep. Because I mean, that's a pretty.
It's the elephant in the room.
Big future problem. I don't know how much of a problem it is now. I think we were kind of chatting about that yesterday. But I mean, there's people like we were talking about JB Straubel, who's like a co-founder, ex-CTO of Tesla. He started a company, Redwood Materials, and they've teamed up with Ford now. I'm sure they've teamed up with Tesla, right?
I don't know. I don't know how he left. I don't know if there's bad blood or anything.
Oh, okay.
Knowing Musk, there's probably bad blood.
Yeah. But I mean, the very like bullet point type of process, like how you recycle these things. And I was reading somewhere like cobalt is the raw material that makes recycling economical because it is such like a
so expensive
and whatnot, that if you remove cobalt, then that may change the economics of recycling itself.
Yeah.
And I think like lithium is cheaper to mine than it is to recycle. So that's another, throws a wrench into things. But so like the recycling process for like lithium ion batteries, they shred it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it seems like there's a couple different ways, like they'll try to break it down into its, elemental components by liquefying it, whether that's a smelter or dissolving it in acid. And then you precipitate out the those like, lithium or cobalt or whatever out of solution as salts. So, and then you that's what you need. You want to recycle, especially like cobalt and whatnot.
Yeah.
And a lot of other processes, extract the cathode crystals using heat, chemicals, typical process stuff. And that's what you need. You need to recycle all those expensive components that you mine from the earth. So I don't know how much of a problem it is now, as like, I don't know, how many electric vehicles are on the road right now with lithium-ion batteries? Like over 5 million or something?
Yeah, but in the US, it's like, what, less than 1% still?
Right.
Like,
right.
even in Norway, which has like a high adoption rate, it's still like 30% or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's still like an early problem, but it's something that we have to, if you're looking ahead and you're looking past the next like year, you need to, something we got to be thinking about. And that's all I got for that.
Yeah, so it's not as cut and dry as just cracking open the batteries and, throwing them into sorting bins. There's a lot of processing and a lot of energy that needs to go into these things. And like you said, depending on the chemistry of the batteries, maybe in 5 years, you'll have junkers seeking out Tesla batteries from, 2015 to 2022 that have cobalt or something like that. What are those little Star Wars characters that are the junkers?
Oh.
If we get this wrong, we're gonna like piss off a lot of Star Wars fans.
First Pittsburgh, now Star Wars fans. Let's do it.
The Venn diagram for like engineers and Star Wars fans, there's definitely overlap.
They say Houtini. I'll just search Houtini. Houtini.
Oh, good, because I was gonna say we
Jawas.
Yep.
Yeah. So Jawas will be coming for your battery packs in like 10 years. Or crackheads. I don't know. They're about the same.
Do you think there's like a junkyard out there where it's just full of Teslas right now?
I don't know.
Is there a market for that? Like, should we go buy some land and start junking Teslas?
The issue with Teslas is like it falls into the right to repair thing. Like, they can software kill things if they want to. So like if they say a car's totaled, they can just software kill it and just be like, it's totaled now. Even if you could have repaired it and half-assed it.
I gotcha. So the Tesla, like you need Tesla, the company, to actually work on it.
Yeah.
Kind of at this point.
But I think that'll be more of an issue, across the industry. I don't know. I guess you have dealerships in the old guard with the older guys, but I could see, the big three still kind of hopping on the software bandwagon just to force you to.
That was, the right to repair was just recently reviewed, or however it's brought back up, and it's around that, and that's a completely awful explanation, but it was brought back up how this electrification is going to be a problem because of that. Because when right to repair was first brought up and people said, hey, I need to be able to do these things, they said, okay. And that's why your OBD1 connector port, like under your steering wheel, came about. So like before that didn't exist because you didn't need any reason to like access the computer.
Hardwired.
And then when the lawsuit was won in terms of the consumer, that's when they started putting that on there.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like things have been going in ways of consumers in the past 20 years.
Yeah. And the other thing I was going to say is that in the like developing EV hot rod world, from what I've heard, is that like Tesla batteries with Chevy Bolt motors is like the way to go. I don't know why. Like,
we'll throw that out there to our
make,
listeners.
An electric street rod, you mix the two OEMs, which is pretty much standard hot rodding. So
they're probably just saying it because they're fucking hot rodders and they just want to fucking monster mash some car parts together.
Frankenstein.
But the right to repair and like all this kind of ties into like charging ports too, like standardization of charging ports. Because you have what's the automotive standard, Dave? Do you know it off the top of your head?
But like, I don't know what it is, but it's the one with the 5 plugs.
Yeah, nobody's like giving a shit about it or like abiding by it, and like, but like I do think, like Tesla said, they're gonna allow external cars because they're going after infrastructure money, which like I guess I'm fine with. Like I think it's good to incentivize, but I think, you know, it might be smart to standardize. And like, doesn't Europe have all their ports standardized? Because isn't like a Tesla port in Europe different from a Tesla port in the US?
I don't know that. You're the Tesla fanboy. I don't know. If you say it is, I'll believe you.
It is. It's standardized, but like
it is. But I just wanted some confirmation.
Yeah, I did. But like infrastructure, like we need more of it. But it's like it's the same but different from gas, right? Because like you can't fill your car up with gas at home. But like we definitely need more infrastructure for city dwellers, for long road trips. But like it's a bit of like a I guess it's not kind of going in the opposite way. So like, you know, Merlin, the wizard
brakes.
No. This is an automotive. I'm making a shitty comparison. The wizard for King Arthur. He aged in reverse. If you didn't know that,
Benjamin Button.
He was the OG Benjamin Button. So like, basically like, charging is going to get faster and range is going to go up. So in theory, you'd probably need less chargers, but you have the competing force of just having way more vehicle adoption too. So like,
right.
Like we made somebody out there, I'm sure, has done the math, but we definitely need more chargers just readily available for long road trips, city dwellers, people without, homes.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, to round it all out with the other players, there are quite a few of those EV charging companies that have hit the market recently. Beam Global, Blink, ChargePoint. I'm not sure which one, but one of them, it's kind of interesting. They have like a solar panel roof, and you park underneath it, and like you can just like kind of retrofit a parking spot with it.
I think that's more of a.
Who knows
I think that's more of a gimmick. Like if you look at like the output of one solar array compared to the amount needed to charge one vehicle. Like I won't.
But if you have a battery, what if you have like battery storage right there?
I think even then you need a lot more solar panels than just, you know, covering a carport above the vehicle. If it's gonna be charging more than like one car a day.
Yeah, this could be a pre-revenue company for all I know. I was just listing them out.
Yeah. But like for those companies, like I guess for any EV charger, like it's kind of interesting because like it can just be like anywhere, right? Like it can be at a hotel, the Kroger across the street from me has, I think, 2 charge point chargers. But like, would it make sense for some gas stations to start adopting, a couple EV chargers? Because like gas stations don't even make that much money off of the gas. They make it all off of the trash that they're selling you within, the station.
Right.
So like,
Right.
an EV charger, I guess you can't get as much of a throughput, but like that person's going to be sitting there for, 20 minutes minimum. They'll probably go in and buy,
Right.
a pack of, M&Ms or something for $1.50.
Yeah, they'll probably start doing it in bigger cities, and then 5-10 years later, Fort Wayne will do it.
It starts on the coast, then Chicago, then the rest of the
Yeah,
Midwest,
that kind of
and then
fans its
Fort
way out
Wayne.
from there. Yeah. Sounds about right.
So the other EV manufacturers, I mean, Tesla's obviously the big one. You got the, established automakers we've kind of been talking about. But then China, they've got quite a few manufacturers, BYD, NIO, Candy Technologies Group, which I just a week ago learned about that one.
Volvo.
Yeah, the Volkswagen Group. Volvo is supposed to SPAC for Polestar.
What?
So
Why?
I read that today.
Why? Do they need the money? I thought they had Big Daddy China backing them up.
Who knows? But if you get $20, $20 is $20.
That's for sure. Well, they missed the bubble by like 7 months.
Yeah, Volkswagen's doing a ton of stuff, obviously, in Europe.
Damn Germans.
Just talking costs. Today, approximately a kilowatt hour costs $135 to produce, which is like reduced significantly from just the middle of the decade, 2010, even further from the millennial. But the industry is kind of like hovering around this $85 per kilowatt hour as a magical number to be competitive with ICE engines and start to pull away from the costs of an ICE vehicle. So that's one of the big hurdles to overcome still. And that's starting to fall just from, there's some scaling benefits, right? Obviously. Yeah. And technology benefits. But you hit like a breaking point where like you just can't scale any further and have any more efficiencies. So we'll get to that point eventually, and then the industry standard practices will happen where it's just like a 3% haircut every year, and you will just find the money.
Yeah, don't. So speaking of like units, so don't they measure the like output of a battery factory like Tesla's or these ones that are coming online by gigawatt hours?
Yeah, gigawatt hours.
I feel like that's did Tesla start that stupid trend? I feel like that's such a weird trend.
That's actually
probably.
I don't think it's that crazy because
I guess it's a way it's a way to quantify, I guess.
Well, no, gigawatt hours might be weird, but power companies like power plants, they measure by like gigawatts. So like this company that I invest that buys or that builds power plants, like natural gas power plants, they basically on all their press releases they'll say this is a 1,000 megawatt or 700 megawatt factory.
So there's already
a
parallel in other industries. It's kind of already this is how much power we can output.
Yep.
But you don't see like solar panel companies saying this is how many gigawatt hours our solar panels can produce that we produce in a year.
Yeah. I don't know.
But unnecessary pushback for me, whatever.
Yeah, so like around that point, anecdotally, I've seen where somewhere around 35 gigawatts of battery production per year is supposed to be the standard. And so in 2018, Tesla produced 20 gigawatt hours, so that's still considered like medium production of batteries. That's not even full scale. And then you have obviously like all the players we've just spoken about: GM, Volkswagen, Ford, Stellantis, all eyeing for that same number. So like you're rapidly going to have all this capacity production around the globe at various locations. So we'll quickly get to that mass production at scale. And that should help bring down some of the costs, right?
Yeah. Dave, were you saying that they're trying to get the average battery to where it's 125 kilowatt hours?
I think Dave said 135 or
135.
135 is what they're at, right?
135 is what they're at. They cost $135 per kilowatt hour, and they're trying to get to $85 per kilowatt hour.
Oh, that's the production of it.
Yeah,
I was thinking like the rating, like, what's a Tesla, what's a top of the line
100,
Tesla Model S in the kilowatt hour rating
100
versus like what's like an economy version?
a
50.
Leaf
75.
Yeah, Tesla stopped advertising it on the Ys and the 3s, but it's like still in the name badge for the S and the X. But like, what the top end S and X is 100, and then like if you really want to talk like economy, I think like what a Leaf's like 40.
I'm not sure.
And then a Bolt.
I know that
A Bolt. Actually, I think a Bolt has more than I thought when I looked it up.
What about like the Ford F-150?
that's what I was looking up now, because it's 2 motors, so I think it's 5.
Ford isn't. They're not advertising that, are they?
I think they're advertising torque numbers. I'm trying to look at what the Hummer says, because I know for the Hummer for sure they have the top of the line has 3 motors, and also we're comparing like the 100 kilowatt hours on the back of the Tesla. And I'm thinking torque. Let's see what GM says for Hummer real quick.
I think GM's battery is going to be like huge.
Well, I mean, they have a whole Hummer to work with, so I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And now as you scale up, like, as you go from a car to the Ram, which I'm sure like a van's equivalent in the size of the battery needed, but then you go up to like, think of like a U-Haul, as you and then like a semi type deal. I mean, is that, how does that scale?
I'm sure not perfectly, because it's like not just weight to range, but like also like aerodynamics too. Like, a vehicle like the Model 3 can be, more teardrop, lower to the ground than a GM Hummer. It's gonna run over people.
So like we're right now, electric vehicles are going into like the smaller vehicles where you don't have to have as crazy like battery packs and whatnot, and then we'll slowly, as like the technology gets better,
I think maybe that's where it was like 10 years ago. I think that's where Tesla took it initially with the Roadster, just like that little, Lotus body, and then just jamming a bunch of batteries in the ass end of it. But I think the big 3 in the US are just, playing into what US drivers like. That's trucks and SUVs.
Yeah. So to come back to the badge number on the back, the GM Hummer has up to a 350 kilowatt motor, which is equivalent to 11,500 pound-feet of torque, or approximately 1,000 horsepower. So I'm trying to get to the other part where you could see the models to see the motor breakout, but I know the top of the line one has 3 motors.
So in theory, like with these battery factories, that whatever they can kick out, it takes like 3-4 times as long to generate the batteries to fill the Hummer versus like the Leaf or
Well, like
Tesla.
that's where it gets a little murky because like of manufacturing.
Because battery does not equal motor size.
Yeah. So they've saying motor, but like I don't know how large the Hummer EV is going to be.
The rotor stator mechanism, like that motor, right? Because you don't have like a V8, so like the motor is rated at 350 kilowatt hours. That has nothing to do with the batteries. At least that's my understanding.
Yeah, that's just how much power they can output. But like, if they have a
Right.
40 kilowatt battery, like kilowatt hour battery, it's not going to go very far. Some news
Correct.
article says they're estimating that the Hummer will have a 200 kilowatt hour battery, so like a Gigantor battery.
Yeah, the thing I saw from what's the Consumer Electronics Show, like the woman from GM giving the presentation was more or less just saying we're stacking batteries everywhere within the frame.
Batteries
because,
everywhere.
Like,
you want a battery, you get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's everywhere. As a season, sorry, we did.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the pouch LG system that GM's going with is better than cylindrical, if they can pump those out any faster, and like if they have any thermal issues, or if their cooling system is better than cylindrical.
I don't see like the kilowatt hours on the Lightning.
I don't think they're advertising it. I think everyone's just
They might not
everyone's
be.
just getting away from advertising it and just going with range, because like nobody wants it to become a dick swing contest. Google says 115 kilowatt. That's, but
Yeah, like they
125
say it's
total.
This is ridiculous. So the F-150 Lightning with extended range battery has a target 563 horsepower and 775 pound-feet of torque, with an asterisk. And since the all-electric motor can crank out an impressive amount of torque at basically 0 RPM, the extended range battery can accelerate faster than any F-150 ever. Target 0 to 60 is in the mid-4s. Okay, so that's great, but they're at 775 pound-feet of torque. The Hummer's at 11,500.
Hey man, in case you ever got to
that's insane.
I don't know, a fucking train or something.
Yeah, that's like enter that in a truck pull or something.
It's just like, that's insane. That's part of the problem too, right? Like some of this is definitely, and you have to do this, I get this, but like some of it's aimed at like excessiveness and not.
Yeah, I think the
greenness.
The freaking Hummer EV is just like all excess. At least the Ford Lightning F-150 has like some functionality that just like makes sense that they're building into an EV. Where it's just like,
yeah,
it's like, look at our Hummer. It can tow anything.
right.
It can do everything. It'll cost $200,000.
Right. And people will pay for it.
Does it take as much fossil fuel burning to create this Hummer as it does like the 8 mile per gallon that the combustion version takes?
I'm sure.
Instead of running on oil, it runs on the blood of DRC children.
Out of sight, out of mind, unfortunately.
You gotta screw the world somehow.
So, on how are the big three like competing with Tesla from like a software standpoint?
I'm not a software engineer. None of my buddies are, so this is all speculation. But I think just on reliability and like past performance, right? Like Tesla, everyone's a beta tester. Where like for GM, Ford, Volkswagen to do that it's too much of a liability to have something go wrong in the field and everybody say, oh, like this car sucks, we're not buying it for 10 more years. Like they can't have that problem the way Tesla can. And I think Rivian is somewhere in the middle. Like everyone knows Rivian's new, they're new to the marketplace, and there's some like leniency and like forgiveness probably built into that purchase. But at the same time, like Rivian's been touted as like a better company and like a more traditional company.
They got money flowing in from Big Daddy Bezos, so they can afford to work in the shadows still.
Yeah, and they got you know, the Ford family.
They got their hand in there too.
Yeah. They told GM to go fly a kite. So yeah, that's how I think their software is going to differentiate. You know, that certain companies, it's just going to be like, it'll feel commonplace or standard. Maybe native's the right word to use. Whereas like Tesla to a boomer is like a terrifying experience.
You're driving
like,
a smartphone.
There's just a giant iPad in the middle. Nothing fucking. There's no buttons. Like Midwest boomer, like they're just like, what is this?
Yes, this is gonna drive you off a cliff.
Right. So I think that'll be one of the major differentiators between the two.
I gotcha. I just didn't know if they were like, if the big, Ford or whoever was partnering with, name some software company like
BlackBerry, Microsoft,
like they are with the batteries.
I don't think so,
Yeah.
but
Not
every
yet,
company
but we don't
outside
know.
of Tesla is at least embracing Apple and Android Auto.
Yeah,
which like I do kind of like that in vehicles. It is convenient.
Oh, it's super nice. You don't have to pay
Yeah.
for nav. Also, like that's something we haven't talked about this whole time, and it doesn't really apply. But like, I don't know what the right term is. The sleeping elephant is like, what is Apple doing down the street? Like, there's all these rumors that they still have a car.
Yeah, and they were supposed
out.
to. They were gonna form something with Hyundai, and now they're talking to Toyota.
Right.
Supposedly, it's just all rumors.
Right.
But like, when you have how much cash does does Apple have on hand? Like,
I don't know, about $3 less than Buffett.
Yeah, it's just like 40 billion or something. We have that much money. You can invest in a product that large and never have it come to fruition.
Right. So yeah, I mean, we can keep going down this rabbit hole forever, and I feel like some of these have been productive sidebars, but there's just a lot, and like what it takes to make the batteries, like the aging process, the mining process. Like there's many factors. Like this isn't just like a turn the switch and everything's great. Like you still have to pay for this. I don't know, luxury, if that's too harsh of a word, but like this doesn't come for free.
The way I kind of view it is, if we're trying to like, maybe not eliminate, but like reduce our carbon emissions, this is one avenue that we got to take. But there is like this set amount of carbon, fossil fuel, coal, whatever, that you have to burn to like create all this infrastructure, build all these battery factories and whatnot to get to a self-sustaining point where you can maybe build future factories with solar, wind, hydro, nuclear, and not natural gas, coal.
Right. It's like the first law of thermodynamics, right? Or the 0th law, whichever one it is, where it says nothing's free.
Right. So we gotta do a down payment now.
Right.
And then this is
also like I think for a lot of like, and this is like another whole different avenue of like politics, but like this is the easy path politically. Like no one wants to talk about building a nuclear plant or mini nuclear plants. Like that's super green. That's super clean.
But
like it sounds terrifying, and like as a politician you can't push that. You won't get reelected.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Like this is something people can get behind.
Yeah, it's
so hopefully we get
it's
to that
an
point.
easy thing, but like people like transportation's what, like 20 to 30% of greenhouse emissions, which like isn't nothing.
Yeah.
But like steel, cement, those sort of things make up like 10% or something like really large. And like those things are going to be the difficult things to make green. Mm-hmm. And then like, like we've had nuclear for what, like 60-ish years in a reliable fashion, but like, because it's been tainted by, Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island,
two schmears, 3
but
schmears.
like there's been so little investment in that, and like and like not only that, if you talk to anyone who works in that industry, like nobody wants to make any changes because nobody wants to be the guy who signs something off. So like it's an industry that isn't really keen on continuous improvement, nor is it getting much funding anymore, nor are the best and brightest engineers going into nuclear engineering. There's more incentive to become a coder and go work for Facebook or Google and, jam ads down our throats than, do something that actually might be productive to society.
Yeah, and pretty complex in the physical world.
Yeah, it's not as straightforward, and there's a lot of innovation that's needed.
So call your congressman,
please,
or woman.
Reach out. We need nuclear.
Be a good American. That's where we're ending.
Done. We're screwed. We need nuclear. Or figure out fission finally. Because this is a piece of the puzzle. We think it's a good thing, but it's not everything.
Also, kids, the big scary looking thing for nuclear plants is not the big scary thing. You want to look for the black smoke, not the white smoke. That's just steam.
You talk about hyperbolic
cooling towers.
Hyperbolic cooling towers.
Yeah, yeah.
Those
aren't scary.
So, do you remember Salim Majid explaining to us how those works, Corbin?
No.
No, I was just talking to Jessica about this. I was reflecting on spaghetti noodles from polymers.
Spaghetti noodles, yeah, polymers. But no, for hyperbolic cooling towers, it's the change in cross-sectional area that forces like an upward draft. Yeah. Nice. So you get your evaporation, you get that delta H, you cool your water, comes back down, runs back through. If you need a lot of cooling water, hyperbolic cooling towers, way to go. But yeah, you can see those at any power plant, and it's not necessarily new. Like you see it in Michigan City, Indiana. It's not a nuclear power plant though.
Yeah.
Thank you, Simpsons, for ruining hyperbolic cooling towers for everyone.
Just read the sign out front. That'll tell you whether it's a nuclear power plant or not.
Thanks for listening to today's episode on automotive battery factories. We hope you learned something. If we missed the mark, let us know in the comments, and we'd love to have you on to correct us.